Bye!
Hippie alert, hippie alert, hippie alert, hippie alert, hippie alert, hippie alert.
Making a video while driving seemed appropriate because,
You're drunk? It sounds like it anyway.
making videos while driving seems to piss people off the most.
Can't imagine why. Doing something necessarily distracting while wielding a 2-ton self-propelling hunk of metal.
Peaches! You're not paying enough attention to the road.
Yeah, that's bullshit. And when you run down a family, you can be assured it wasn't because you were trying to record an engaging vlog while driving. It was because chemtrails or some shit, I'm sure.
I'm gonna laugh if you get sued because, you killed somebody while you were making a YouTube video.
I know you were trying to do a dumb person voice, but God, it sounded almost identical to your normal speaking voice. Also, you wouldn't be sued. You would be arrested and sent to jail. Then maybe sued after. Maybe come up with your arguments before you make stupid points. There's a good gal.
It's called being aware. And plus,
You do keep looking at the camera, and let me guess, you are one of those 80% of drivers that are totally an above average driver. Wink.
like, how hard is it to drive? Like, really, how hard is it to drive? Like,
How hard is it to edit? Easier than driving, I'm sure, Peach, but just because someone as special as you can drive doesn't mean it's not a complex task that requires attention. There's a reason you need to take a test. There are a lot of these pauses, so I'm going to start cutting them out for sanity's sake. Good job it's not distracted to make a video while you're driving though, eh?
a friend mentioned to me that the whole don't text and drive.
Looking repeatedly at a small electronic device while driving is bad. Who knew?
Well, no, it's not beneficial to text or drive, but if they're going to keep telling you to not do something, well, what are you going to do?
Not do it? Especially the texting thing, because in most sensible countries, it's literally a crime, you dozy cow.
You really think that this seatbelt, do you really think that it saves your life?
Yes, it's been proven many times that seat belts help lessen the impact of car crashes by stopping you from slamming headfirst into your dashboard, or my favourite.
Like most victims, Julie knew her killer. It was her son. He wasn't wearing his seatbelt. After crushing her to death, he sat back down.
Wearing your seatbelt is for other people's safety too. God, that advert still freaks me out.
Really? You really think that the crash dummies in a car help prevent your life being saved?
Unfriggin' believable. You don't think that was distracting? Like, at all? I think you might actually be the least self-aware person I've ever met. Holy crap. And the best part is, we aren't even into the meat of the video yet. Jesus Christ.
Jesus wants a hug.
Well, I have to fix it.
God forbid you don't make your super smart video while you're doing a driving. I reckon that's the noise she hears in her head constantly.
Everything is a trick. This seatbelt is a wonderful example of the trick. The only reason that I wear it is because it beeps at me.
When my house is burning down, I only leave because of all the beeping.
It actually gives people the security, like this is like the security belt, that they're not quite as responsible for their actions because, you know, they got a little cushion. They got a little harness saving their life.
No. Forgetting the legal shit for 1 second. People do not use a seatbelt because they don't want to take responsibility for their lives. They do it so they don't fly screaming through the windshield when some dopey twat like you drives in front of them when they had the right of way because they were too busy making sure their camera hadn't fallen over. And I know you think what you said there was all meaningful and junk, but you're about as deep as a cum splash.
Making them just a little less responsible for having to be a good driver.
The irony of being an incredibly irresponsible driver whilst calling out every sane person on the planet is incredible. You are the amazing dipshit. Bravo.
Peaches is a good driver.
Objectively false.
Peaches would also like to mention.
Wait, do you actually refer to yourself in the third person? Wait, I got something for this. Lol cow. There's no need to feel down when you found a lol cow. Pick yourself off the ground from all the laughing, 'cause you found a new lolcow and they are fucking retarded.
Jesus, I'm not going to talk about myself in the third person because that's weird.
And then you have to go and ruin all my work. Actually, you're still a lolcow, but that's because I've been looking at your other videos. We are gonna have fun.
But I started, and sometimes it just happens like that. I am not two characters. I am one single person at one single time. It's just a nickname. Peaches is just a nickname. I'm the same person.
The lady doth protest too much, methinks. Lots of prattle here, so I'm just gonna skip that.
I'm doing this because any real truthers.
Keep your hands on the fucking steering wheel, you absolute cretin!
Turn off. Turn off.
Yes, turn off the camera before you kill someone, you utter dirtbag.
I mean, this is kind of pointless for you because you're all really, really smart. I have, honestly, the best subscribers. The only ones that get their eyes on me are not. Are not.
I can't make any judgments about individuals in your primary audience, but I will say this. I am sure they are the exact same intellectual level as you, babe. Take that as you will.
So we're gonna start this video off with,
So we haven't even started the video yet. I'm 2 pages deep into this script. Oh God, no.
with a little announcement. AIDS is fake.
AIDS is fake. So I'll give you a second to absorb that. AIDS is fake. Oh, and guess what else she believes?
The earth is flat.
Super combo.
But most importantly, AIDS is fake.
Okay, so do you have any strong arguments or evidence that could even remotely back up that claim?
It is.
So no. Okay.
AIDS is a hoax.
So for those of you who didn't know, AIDS denialism is a thing. There are groups who have a distinct lack of medical degrees between them, you'll soon begin to notice, who believe a variety of things, but generally all believe that AIDS is some kind of conspiracy to, well, that's never really explained in any coherent fashion, but god damn it, they are always up to something, so why the hell not?
AIDS, it's a misdiagnosis. So I have a connection
To a doctor who studies AIDS and has done some groundbreaking research into AIDS that is gonna change the world?
to SIDS.
Wait, what?
SIDS.
Well, I can't say I was expecting you to go in that direction, and from your often panicked expression, I imagine the same keeps happening to you and your masterful driving. But seriously, what the fuck? SIDS. Sudden Infant Death Syndrome. I am kinda terrified to see where you're going with this crazy lady.
Why do I have a connection to SIDS? Well, because when I was doing my vaccine
Monster combo.
research, I found out that there was a direct link between SIDS and vaccination dates.
And I'm sure you are an expert at scientific research and didn't read that all off a blog somewhere. But hey, let's just say there is a correlation. So what? Correlation does not equal causation. It's called SIDS for a reason. They don't know what causes it. It's a sad and terrifying thing that far too many of you assholes like to use as an emotional bait to pull people into your little pseudoscience clubs. It's gross. Cut it out.
People would bring their babies home from the hospital, from the doctor's office that day, and they, after the shots, the babies would just stop breathing. That's where sudden infant death syndrome came from, because they needed to label it something. The cause of SIDS is still unknown.
You ever just want to reach through a screen and just punch someone right in the face? I have no idea why I would bring that up.
It's not unknown.
But you know, don't you? You're the one who figured it out. And the countless doctors and researchers and medical professionals out there, well, they are either incompetent or just evil, right? Could never be that you are a bad driving doofus dipshit who not only doesn't know what they are talking about, but likes to use tragedies to further their stupid agenda. Nah, everyone else is an evil idiot, right? Get woke, sheeple.
It's not unknown at all. They know exactly what causes it, but they had to give it another label so that nobody would find the cure, which is stop injecting your children with this nasty stuff, right? Stop injecting your children with stuff that was made out in a lab.
What the fuck has a lab got to do with anything? You know, just because it ain't natural doesn't actually mean it's bad.
And go put them out in the real world and have them build their own immune systems.
We don't immunise against things they can just catch and they'll be absolutely fine. Measles can lead to fits, pneumonia, inflammation of the brain. This inflammation can cause brain damage or death. Mumps can cause an inflammation of the brain that can lead to deafness or death. Polio can affect the nerves and paralyse different parts of the body, including the breathing and swallowing muscles. Paralysis is usually permanent. That's just a few, and on the polio in particular, you've probably never met anybody with polio, because it's been all but wiped out by vaccines. Don't we live in a fantastic time where total idiots get to throw all sense of responsibility to the wind and start convincing other people that medical establishments are out to get them when that couldn't be further from the truth?
No, that's not what they're going to do. They're going to inject your tiny, tiny little child.
Oh look, more arguments from emotion. Babies are tiny, so giving them life-prolonging treatments is bad for some reason.
To make a lifelong customer out of them.
You think that they give vaccines to make people customers? Woo, lass, you are a special kind of batshit, aren't ya?
And that benefit, that financial benefit they will get from those children having to keep going to the doctor for the rest of their life.
Just because you've had vaccines doesn't mean you have to go back to the doctor. I mean, you should, because they can catch things you otherwise would not, but you could absolutely never see the doctor again if you didn't get sick. There is not a binding contract. It's just a good idea if you aren't as stupid.
That financial benefit that they get is more important to them than, one out of, every... God,
I can apply the same argument to you, except, be correct. Your feelings and inability to understand or accept what experts tell you is more important than a few outbreaks of deadly diseases that could easily have been stopped had people gotten their frigging vaccines.
It just increases by year the number of children. The U.S. actually has the highest infant death rate in the world.
That is utter bollocks, love. You are out of your damn mind if you think that's true. It's approximately 5, maybe 6 out of 1,000 in the US, depending on what year, recent that is, and up to 180 per 1,000 attributed to Angola, and the lowest number that I've seen is still in the 100 or so per 1,000. America isn't the highest. It isn't even the top 10. Hell, it isn't even in the top 100. It's around about the same as most other first world nations. Not the best, but a far cry from the highest in the world. Your claim is so not true, it actually boggles my mind how anyone could believe that. You do know some countries have wars, or abject poverty, or countless other factors that are far more likely to kill a child than even the perceived threat of vaccines you definitely know because of your very precise scientific estimate of...
one out of, every... God,
It's almost like you haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
Why?
Because you and the dumber.
So, obviously you can tell that I have this connection to SIDS because it's what got me to stop injecting my child because they're...
Oh God, you're actually a parent. Press F to pay respects for that poor kid.
They're giving a label to something that means that you're never going to actually find the cure. Parents are never going to figure out what is actually doing this to their children because it's the doctors doing it to their children and they'll never want them to know, so they just pay them out under the table.
If you just rattle off a bunch of shit and make out that it's true without a shred of evidence, that's how you science.
Well, this is kind of the same thought form as AIDS. Well, they all have an original thought form.
Stop pretending you know how to thought.
Which is to keep us mentally trapped. Keep us physically trapped, and then we're mentally trapped. Physically sick, mentally sick.
You're certainly mentally sick, and not the good kind. Me.
So they made up this disease, AIDS and SIDS. They sound so similar.
They are acronyms, you fucking retard. All of them sound like that. They are easier, quicker ways of expressing a more complicated name or statement.
They made up AIDS in order to, one, divide the populace, divide between not only now race, but sexual origin as well.
Well, it didn't really work, did it? And they are still trying to help people with it. The stigma is all but gone. Why would they keep going?
To, kind of get people to fear another aspect.
There are shitloads of scary things in the world. They could have just trumped up one of those, but instead of taking something real, they faked an entire syndrome with stages and testable effects, invented a bunch of ways to detect it. Many scientists work to cure it, and entire charities send people all over the world, from volunteers to doctors, all to convince the world that something that doesn't exist does. Instead of, like I said, using any of the countless real things. Sounds like a smart plan when you put it that way.
They also want to tell you that it's a disease that hopped from monkeys to African men.
Doesn't really matter where it started, it still affects millions of people regardless of creed, colour or ethnicity.
To gay men, they can't even pinpoint where the plague came from, where cooties came from. They can't pinpoint it.
They don't know the exact time, date and location that a human first contracted a disease, therefore it must not exist. Which means pretty much no diseases exist. You really are this stupid, aren't you?
There's even fake conspiracies that tell you that, they made it in a lab as a part of a biological weapon, because that's great too.
I do find it funny when conspiracy theorists think that other conspiracy theorists are dumb. That's what everyone thinks of you, love. Only difference is, you're only right about one thing.
It's not real. It's a misdiagnosis for malnutrition.
AIDS is a misdiagnosis for malnutrition. It's okay, guys. We just need to give AIDS patients burgers. That's all. They're just a bit hungry.
What I assume.
Oh, that was an assumption, was it? Is that code for pulled out of your ass?
They never want you to find the cure, and that's across the board. All they want to perpetuate is fear and creating lifelong customers.
They don't want people to find the cure. So all these people researching it are just what? Dicking around all day? Or so dumb that they fell for it, while you dirt brains McDrive's real bad. You figured it all out because you're just so much better than everyone.
Getting you to keep coming back to the same people who are making you sick, never finding a cure for yourself, but just walk the fuck away.
I hardly ever go to the doctors. It takes wild horses to convince me to ever get treatment for anything. Wild horses really speak my language. But shock horror, I still get sick. I bet you do too, you silly moo bag. But thank fuck everyone else is vaccinating, so you and your kid will at least have the protection of herd immunity. At least for now, until this kind of misinformation spreads far enough to break it. Then he's fucked.
Walk away. Walk away. I want to do it again. Except I'm driving really fast. They'll never hear me. Earth is flat. AIDS is fake. You are living in a dream within a dream.
Says the hippie who shouts lies at strangers. Your life is weirder than my average dream, darling.
And your control goes way beyond this shell.
Oh, you gotta love Wu's sophistry. Control, shell, way. Now buy my book. I don't even know if she's got a book, but I'll bet she's writing one.
Meat suit. Where did this fire come from? Maybe it's because I'm driving. And I know how mad that's gonna make people.
If your passion comes from pissing people off instead of being right and having good or interesting ideas and conversations, then you're a troll.
It's important knowledge to know that
There's nothing about that sentence I don't love.
everything that they put on the news media, everything that your doctor tells you is not in your well-being.
I just can't imagine an entire industry that happens to have extended our lifespans massively, by the way, but imagining that they're all just out to get you. That's pretty paranoid, babe. Might want to see a... Oh, wait. Well, that's a bugger of a catch-22, isn't it? Too crazy to see a doctor about being crazy.
Ebola was never real. nobody is ever going to catch Ebola.
You heard it here first, folks. Ebola isn't real. Dr. Dipshit McCrashing soon told me in her vlog. Must be true.
Nobody is going to ever catch the Zika virus.
Folks, we have reached peak mental. And this person is allowed to drive and is the guardian of a minor. Strange times we live in.
It just pops up in the media and then it goes away and then everybody forgets that it ever was a thing. Because it never was a thing.
It wasn't as big a deal as it was made out, at least not in Western countries, but it still happened. It's in other countries, but Western media doesn't really care, mostly because the people in our countries don't really care. Got our own stuff to deal with. Kind of the way it is, probably always will be, but I do feel as if you'll soon be saying that other countries are made up too.
Except for AIDS, they've really kept this one going for a really long time. It's one of their nails in the coffin, right? It's one of their defining building structures, actually, when you think about it.
First off, stop pretending you've ever thought about anything. Those farting sounds you hear in your head aren't thoughts. And secondly, AIDS has stuck around because it actually affects people in our countries. You are such an absolute cretin.
It was a huge excuse me if I'm wrong.
No, otherwise I'll have to excuse this whole video and I'm just in too deep.
But it seemed to be coming out at the same time the war on drugs did, the peace movement was happening, all of these other...
You do know things can happen at the same time and not be connected, right? My children were born early on the same day that I moved house. Doesn't mean those things have any direct link. As much of a pain in the arse as that all was.
It's all controlled opposition.
And that's the conspiracy theorist mantra, really, isn't it? They control everything. They have to. They must. Because what if terrible shit just happens? What if we're dust on a ball of mud slinging around an uncaring universe and Well, that is what happens. You learn to deal with it, or you delude yourself into thinking that your life has some greater meaning or purpose than that which you personally give to it.
Everything is controlled opposition from the demiurge.
I had to look that one up, and look at me hitting the nail on the head. Demiurge, a being responsible for the creation of the universe in particular.
Call them whatever you want to.
That doesn't real? Now get a job.
Black or it's white.
Hey, that is racist.
It's for the good or it's for the bad.
So you are saying that everyone but you is tricked into believing that everything is black and white, good or bad, even though most people understand nuance to some degree, and you think everything is controlled by someone and all doctors are out to get you and all vaccines are bad. I mean, I'm beginning to see a pattern of black and white thinking. You might want to look up projection, love.
Okay. In case you forgot, AIDS is fake. The earth is flat, and that is all face value. That is the tip of the iceberg, and it goes so much further beyond that. So this is for the people who come on here who don't really understand very much. Maybe this rant will piss you off, or get you to start thinking for yourself. Okay, hold on, one last time. I'll slow down. I'll even slow down. Look.